Hey there, Doug here with B&H, and today we're going to be talking about a camera that continues to be one of the most versatile cameras on the market. That, of course, is the Canon EOS C70. Now, I know, the C70 was released over 2 years ago, so why are we still talking about it? Well, that's because the Canon C70's firmware has been updated once again and has improved the camera dramatically. With Canon's 5th update now, the camera has made some significant improvements to its autofocus, picture profiles, and if we jump back to earlier in the year, it was also updated to shoot RAW video internally. So let's talk about the latest Canon firmware 1.0.5.1, plus some features the previous firmware updates brought to the camera as well. Canon's colors are a big reason why so many shooters gravitate towards their cameras. One of their picture profiles, wide DR, remains a very popular choice of picture profile for users since it provides a smoother, more cinematic highlight roll-off, while squeezing more of the camera's dynamic range into that coveted Rec. 709 space. However, in this latest firmware, Canon has added a new custom picture profile called Canon 709. Now, with the Canon 709 profile, you get the exact same dynamic range that you would with the wide DR profile, but now it has even more contrast, making it even more deliverable straight out of the camera. In other words, a more cinematic look right out of the camera without any need for color grading. It uses the new Canon 709 gamma curve along with the neutral color matrix. Now, it looks very much like wide DR custom picture profile, but it doesn't use super white, which we know causes clipping in the highlights with wide DR. Now, the highlights have been pulled down with a little more saturation added, and the midtones have more contrast. So let's compare the two. Canon 709 is more for those users looking for a contrasty and saturated image straight out of the camera with little to no color correction. Wide DR is a good balance between the flexibility of log formats and the new custom picture profile Canon 709. Though you'll almost always want to add a little extra contrast to both, in my opinion. Now, along with the new Canon 709 picture profile, Canon's also added a new viewing LUT called Canon Monitor Transfer, or CMT 709. Viewing LUTs aren't saved onto your footage like a picture profile, so CMT 709 is a great starting point for any color grading and for making adjustments while shooting. This way, you're able to save some time in post-production and better gauge your exposure. So the C70 has had 4K 60p support for some time now, but it's been limited to long-op codecs. For users who demand intra recording, with the new firmware, you can now in fact record in DCI 4K or UHD 4K up to 5994p, all intra. This records at a bitrate of 600 megabits per second, maximizing image quality in the process. Now, this is especially helpful for slow motion shooters who can now take advantage of intra 422 10-bit over 4K 60. Here's the big one. The camera's dual pixel CMOS AF with EOS ITR AFX already delivers some pretty highly accurate subject tracking, and it works very well in most cases. But now, Canon's added even more precision with the addition of eye autofocus. Even better, eye AF, face detection, and subject tracking are now available in slow and fast motion recording. When using eye tracking, you can choose between each eye, and you can even touch between the eyes as well. Eye tracking works with the manual assist tool as well, so you can manually focus and use eye tracking to make sure your subject is in focus with the best of both tools. The system catches on and holds focus very well once it detects a face in frame, and it's incredibly fast. Now, one thing that many users asked for was being able to monitor all 4 channels on the standby screen. Well, now you can with the latest firmware update. The EOS C70 has already supported 4-channel audio recording using a combination of the line input, the built-in stereo microphone, and of course the 2 mini XLR mic inputs, but previously it was only possible to monitor 2 channels when using the audio level meter on the LCD screen. The latest firmware allows users to display up to 4 audio channels simultaneously. This improvement will really help users who use all 4 channels at once. The C70 update also includes support for Canon's XC protocol, which allows integration into multi-camera solutions very easily. Now, you can gain control of the C70 via Canon's RC IP100 remote camera controller and the remote camera control application. This is great for live events, TV studios, and of course, houses of worship. The firmware update also supports the new Canon Flex Zoom cinema lenses and the CineServo CN8x15 IAS S lens. Now, this is my favorite feature of the EOS C70, and it was actually released in the previous firmware update earlier this year. Internal cinema raw light recording lets shooters explore the C70 sensor's full potential. The C70 can record 3 different varieties of raw, ST, LT, and HQ. Now, the beauty of shooting RAW is the flexibility that it allows you to have in post for things, of course, like color temperature, tint, ISO, color space, and gamma. RAW is great for color grading in that it offers 12 bits of color information, thus giving you much finer control over the image in post-production. For the highest image quality, Cinema Raw Lite is the way to go. When in the camera's normal Super 35 mode, you can record in DCI 4K LT up to 60 FPS and in ST up to 30 FPS. If you crop into the Super 16 mode, you can shoot 2K in LT, ST, or HQ, and all the way up to 60 FPS. You'll definitely want to get larger capacity SD cards and V90 cards at that, so you don't experience any buffering. Data rates are often comparable to XAVC and IntraFrame. While shooting in RAW, you can enable proxy recording to your second card slot, which will give you a 2K 8-bit file straight out of the camera. This is great, of course, if your computer can't handle the RAW files and if you just want to start editing right away. Another new feature is the interval recording, which adds the ability to specify the frequency of recording after pressing the record button when setting the number of frames to record. In other words, time-lapse. You select your time interval and then your capture frame rate. The camera can be set to record every 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, or 30 seconds, or every 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 minutes, with 1, 3, 6, or 9 frames being captured each time. This is a great feature to create stunning time-lapse videos all in camera, condensing long-duration action like cars on a freeway, or going from night to day. Similarly, the frame recording feature is useful for creative filmmaking and applications such as stop frame or stop motion animation, as it allows the user to select whether 1, 3, 6, or 9 frames are recorded each time the record button is pressed. The Canon EOS C70 is designed to go wherever you go, with its compact form factor and a built-in ergonomic grip that makes handheld shooting easy and comfortable. It packs in so much of what you want and need from a dedicated cinema camera into a body that is somewhat similar to a mirrorless camera, but it gives you so much more control. You get Catalog 2 and 3 formats, and even slow motion frame rates up to 120 FPS in 4K, or up to 180 FPS in 2K crop mode. Plus, you can incorporate the C70 into multi-camera productions with the built-in timecode port. The recently added Cinema Raw Lite internal recording, and now the Canon 709 picture profile, Intra 4K 60p recording, and IAF, of course, continue to make it one of the top performing cameras in its class. So, what will you create with the Canon EOS C70? Let us know in the comments below. This is Doug with B&H, and I'll see you next time.